So my name is Ashu Thangaraj. I work for a company named OpenText. We are an information management company. And a couple of years back, 5 years back, we added cybersecurity portfolio as well as part of one of the acquisitions. So today, what I'm going to really deep dive into is threat intelligence. I have set up a cybersecurity organization, engineering organization for the last 5 years, and we do a lot of threat intelligence, a lot of data pruning as well. So we'll look at like what one of the solution that we have recently POC'd and started into the execution. So the whole idea is to bring forth that. So let's give a little bit of what we do. Cybersecurity, I think the way the threats are going on, specifically post-COVID, the threats are increasing, and the way we want to really, resolve it used to take a lot of time. And we're talking about hours, we're talking about minutes, we're talking even about seconds. So the philosophy at OpenText, what we really want to do as part of cybersecurity, we know that, going to it completely eliminating is going to be really, really difficult, right? So we want to reduce the risk and we want to enhance the resilience. So what we really focus on is reducing risk, preserving trust. I think that's one of the very important thing. Disruption, whenever there's a threat, there's a disruption. How do we contain that disruption and enhance the resilience? Correct. So that's the whole philosophy that we work on the OpenText cybersecurity group. We do a lot of, if you see the whole pillar, we do prevent, detect and respond, recover, investigate. So all those things are there, but I think that core of it is really about enhancing the resilience part of it. So that's a bit on what at OpenText we do by and large. What are the problems we solve? We solve a lot of problems, but I think what I will do today is deep dive into the current problem that we were looking at. So if you look at like cybersecurity, there's millions and millions of threats which is getting done, created, and defenders, attackers, they keep on putting threats on these systems. And you have these whole SOC analysts who are sitting on the periphery. They're actually going through multiple stuffs. And today, if you look at like SOC analyst, they have a humongous task of like figuring out what's important, what's not important, and how to remediate the threats, right? So for them, the real issue is really how do we efficiently process and prioritize, right? Processing and prioritizing takes time, manually, right? So how do we do that? How do you navigate complex workflows, right? You have multiple data systems, data coming from multiple areas. How do you actually go through that, figure out, and then start the investigation? Correlate threat data and complex investigation. Context-specific information, right? How do you really get those context-specific information and then identify the response to them? Threats are becoming very sophisticated, so that's why it's very important to make sure that you are actually tailoring your response to that. False positive. I think every SOC analyst has this humongous problem of really which is genuine threat, which is non-genuine threat. So what OpenText can really help do is help SOC analyst use AI to really get this, remediate the threats much faster. Improve the mean time to detect and mean time to respond, as well as the next course of action, right? So this is what the SOC analyst's life would become easier if he or she is able to do that. So we came up with, okay, what is the problem solver? So the very first thing I think in the morning sessions and all, I heard about the alerts and all. So everywhere when we are talking about whether it is a normal system or a cybersecurity threat, alerts are the humongous thing that comes in. The problem statement is really about like how do we reduce my alert fatigue? How do I get my complex workflows and simplify it, right? How do I get the threat response not like uniquely but classify and make it more generic, right? How do we really reduce the response time? Can we have a Gen AI based solution where we can actually summarize all the alerts, tell me, okay, which one is prioritizing, which is not, which one should I look in, which one I shouldn't. So we started looking at all these parameters and said that, okay, if we want to really summarize a lot, if we want to really, prioritize incident response, right, anomaly detection, even the context analysis, right, how can we give those recommendations? Can AI help us, right? Gen AI help us. And the whole benefit we thought was it's definitely going to increase the efficiency. It's going to have a better incident response, as well as the threat detection is going to become much more improved. And this is something that we have been doing for a long time, threat detection, but the whole idea is how do we make it faster and better. So this was a thought process that we thought, okay, how do we go and attack this? And then we started looking at what do we have. So OpenText already has a huge threat intelligence platform. We have multiple data sources coming from the endpoints, the product behavior, user behavior, the threat data, the intelligence on the threat. Right, we do a lot of machine learning, as we'll see. We already do a lot of machine learning right from like last 15 years and have gone through a lot of evolution over there as well. We do contextual analysis, behavioral analysis, semantics, and we have a whole layer of management where we have the reporting, we have API management, we have third-party intelligence also coming in. We have all these things, and we have our endpoint protection system. We have our network protection, the user protection, and the threat intelligence. So these are things which is already there with us. We have an entirely huge ecosystem, close to 67 million plus sensors that we have coming from consumer and business endpoints, as well as the partners. We have a huge infrastructure on AWS, as well as like e-commerce data, licensing and threat data. As I mentioned, we do a lot of machine learning processing, as well as IP scanning, crawling, sensing, classifying, categorization, behavioral analysis also we do, as well as our product and services that we do. So typically the way our threat intelligence currently work is on the internet, if we have any new threat which is coming and we try to like detect it within 5 minutes and provide protection for the devices or the endpoints within 5 minutes, right? That's the system we already have in place. All right, and we also interact with a lot of third-party systems using our APIs as well, and they also provide us a lot of information. As I mentioned, we had close to last 15 years that we are working on this. We have gone through a lot of evolution on the ML as well, right from the base probabilistic model to today we are looking at like Gen AI. So given all these things, we thought, okay, we already have a whole platform, and there's a lot of data already residing. There's a lot of intelligence already residing. And if we try to like collate all of them and get a Gen AI on top of it, we call it Aviator within OpenText, how does it make life of a SOC analyst simple? All right. So what we really brainstormed, and we did like a day of hackathon with a lot of engineers within my group, and I think Sachin is here and he can help answer. So we got the Gen AI in between, and we said that, okay, the SOC analyst really needs to do investigation, needs to do data analysis, report, and respond, right? And the whole goal is how do we increase the detection accuracy as well as the investigation time, right? So these are the two goals. And what we know is we know the pattern recognition, we know the knowledge integration, we know the contextual as well as the semantic, right? So what we started doing is we used Gen AI and brought all these things together for a solution. So this is Gen AI based EDR MDR architecture. If you see the upside, the input sources that we have, honeypots, third party, we already have this system. This is our threat intelligence system, right? Which gives us our threat insights on a regular basis, right? And then we also have our endpoints through which we get log data, we get events, we get graphs and all. Using these two, we came up with a new architecture where we said that, okay, we already have the knowledge graphs with our system. We built an event and alert knowledge graph within our system, and then structured the entire graph-based query based on vector LLM, and built an entire schema, right? Cybersecurity schema and vocabulary, use the LLM. Now, the whole idea with this is whenever SOC analyst comes and gives a prompt, right, asks a question to the system, this actually queries the LLM, and all this is happening in when we actually store it, it's all in different data, but when the LLM uses it, actually gets into the natural language. Right, so pretty much if you see, like, it's not something that we have done it from scratch, but we have our threat intelligence system, we have our events and log stuff. What we are doing is we are getting additional LLM on top of it, building the knowledge graphs as well as for the existing cybersecurity knowledge graph as well as the event and alert graph, right? And then bringing it all together so that we get the summarization and all. All right. So I'll quickly show a demo. This is how our a dashboard looks like for a SOC analyst. The moment you come into it, you will see that there is like 42,000 alerts coming in, 7,000 new, and there's a whole lot of false positives. So the whole graph itself, right, when the SOC analyst sees, kind of gives a whole perception that, okay, how do I go and, go through 42,000 alerts, or even the false positive, right? How do I go and see 2,000 false positives, go one by one, now figure it out, right? So I think it's a very humongous task if you have to go through one by one, right? So we'll quickly see a demo as to the SOC analyst comes to the dashboard, looks at it, and sees, okay, now what do I do? All right. So the very first thing that comes to the person is, okay, there's so much of work now. I really need to think about how do I manage each one of them, right? So what we developed and what the architecture I showed previously, right? So the SOC analyst giving a prompt, the way we have tried to bring it over here is just go now. So if you see, there is a star over there, which we call. So it's a GenAI solution, right? So if you see over here, there's a prompt, right? Ask me anything, right? So this is our, we call within OpenText, we call it as an aviator. And since this is for our EDR, MDR solution, we call it EDR, MDR aviator. At this point of time, the SOC analyst can actually go over there and ask, what are the top alerts, right? Can I see a summarization, right? So it can go and ask multiple things, and the GenAI running behind it will actually give it answers. And these answers are coming from, again, the databases that we have, right? So there are like 3-4 databases that we have. We have got the information stored there, and we have done a lot of processing already there, correct? So let me run the video. And
one.
Okay, so it goes over there, asks, so you get a response saying that, okay, it's a OpenText MDR aviator. Accepts, and then it asks, okay, show me prioritized alerts. It takes some time, goes, filters out data. Right, and it brings up the top 5 alerts. Right, now as you see on these alerts, it's not just gives the alert, it also gives you the scoring, the priority, the criticality of each and every alert. Right, Now you got 5 or 6 alerts. Now it's like, okay, what do I do with this alerts, right? So the next thing is, okay, summarize these alerts, right? So it actually goes and helps summarize the alerts. Right, so it gives this summarization, and based on the summarization, it highlights, okay, what are the ones that you want, and then it says that do you want to get something from the KB also? So we have got an entire knowledge base as well, where we store a lot of data. So it says, okay, now I've given you the summarization, I've given you more details about it. If you want more about, the knowledge base also, I can give you that as well. Right, so if you see, it gives you the things from the KB as well as provides a recommendation. Now, once your recommendation comes, you also probably want to see something related to it, right? So related malware alerts, which has been seen earlier. So you go and give that prompt, and it will go and fetch all those data as well. Slowly, the moment when you give, it will ask question and starts popping up, right? So if you see, you get all the different malwares which was detected earlier, and what was the status, what is the kind of criticality, from where did we get those malware, all those details are given, right? So the SOC analyst can actually have a lot of data, which it ideally, in normally, if you would have gone and seen it, it would have taken at least like 10 minutes or maybe half an hour or so. Whereas using this Aviator solution, it is like a matter of minutes. It also gives like criticality. So now you've got like, okay, what are the previous one? Give me all the critical ones or not. So now the critical ones, the critical risk levels. There you go. Right, so if you see the risk score and the criticality, 9 to 400. So once the SOC analyst has the data, that he or she has got a lot of information in terms of what to do with the top 5 alerts that is coming up. Now, we also try to do a negative scenario where, we have alerts coming in tomorrow. Do you want to really see that? And it's just for demo purpose. It basically comes and says that I don't have information for tomorrow. All right. So this is just, we have started developing it. It is still not in the beta stage as well. It is still in execution development. But just wanted to give you a peek view of what is possible using Gen AI. There are multiple other things that we are doing with AI. As I mentioned, we have a huge threat intelligence platform itself. There's a lot of web classification and reputation that we are doing on a regular basis. IP reputation, literally blacklisting malicious IP addresses on a continual basis. Real-time anti-phishing services, file reputation, as well as the streaming malware detection. It's entirely automated. The entire threat detection that you see is automated. We use, I think previously I showed the machine learning models that we use. So there's a massive scale of machine learning that we use across our threat intelligence platform. And the whole idea is like, it is actually looking for threats almost like on a real-time basis and providing a response to that. And we also have built in a lot of predictive capabilities. So how do we have this contextual analysis, risk scoring. You saw the risk scoring in the previous slide. So we do provide risk scoring based on the threat intelligence data that we have. We also provide guilt by association model, continuous reevaluation, which keeps on happening all the time. So this is part and parcel of like what we do, use AI within our threat intelligence platform. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have, and we can take